had no idea it was near 80. Wow.
Yeah.
Where do you
Yeah.
live?
I was in Washington, D.C., and Diane lives near Washington,
Outside.
D.C.
And it went up to
Right.
80?
80. It was a record since the records began for DC. It was the hottest January the
Oh my
26th ever.
God.
It was a
And it's usually
wonderful day. It was a great day. It was so nice and warm, and now it's cold. Now it's usual, like usual again.
Oh, I hate this weather. Just hate this damp, rainy weather. It's so depressing.
Yeah, it's
We're
raining
supposed to
now.
have-
It's cold.
We're
Yeah.
supposed to get snow tonight.
Oh,
right. So it's come down again. I don't know. It was some weather system that brought warm air.
mhm. Yeah,
Anyway,
just one day though. The other day was a little warm, but nothing like Friday. Friday
right,
was,
right, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we didn't
I was
have it here.
indoors all day at my meeting, so
Oh,
I just read about it.
I worked outside, so I to enjoy it.
I
Yeah.
went to the,
Gloria looks like she's ready for the cold as well.
Yeah.
I
She's
went to
got gloves
the,
on.
Yeah, it's probably down to, like 70 or something in Tucson.
I think Gloria's talking, but we don't hear her.
well, I wanted to go to Tucson, but I couldn't.
Yeah,
I tried to get two people to go.
not 110 maybe most of the year, 5 months of the year. So we don't have rugs, and it gets very dank when it's winter.
Well, I love the dry heat.
I don't love the dry heat. Been here forever, and I don't think I would recommend it.
Huh. Okay.
I think we've almost got a quorum, Diane.
Oh, yes, it's past 7:30. Okay.
And let me just warn you all, I have to leave at 6:30, leave my house for a play that starts at 7.
That's 2 hours from now.
Right? And I've got my dinner on a plate, which I will heat up at 6:15, and then you won't see me because I'll be here. I will be eating my dinner before I go. So I'm hoping we can get through by 6:30.
I hope so too. I would like that. Yeah,
I'll stay as long as I can, but I can't promise 2 hours. I'll get through where I'm presenting because it's our dinner and we miss it.
Okay, well, let's hurry up and try to get through then. Do we have a vibes watcher? Do we need a vibes watcher? I don't think we do, but we have the note taker.
I
am
could do the vibes. I could do the vibes because, like you say, we shouldn't need anything along that line. But the last meeting I was in, where we supposedly had one, there were a lot of vibes and didn't really happen. So I'm convinced of the importance of being ready.
Okay, so doing good. And Odile, you're going to be the note taker because you volunteered last time.
So you have to make sure when you what are you doing? You are
facilitating
that you called on the number or on the agenda where you're moving to, so I can have that on my notes.
Okay.
So when we're on item 5, number 3, for example, you say that so that Odile can write it down.
Okay, we'll try to do that. And then timekeeper. Any timekeepers?
Oh, I'll be a timekeeper. I can see the clock very brightly.
Okay, and hopefully we won't need that too much either, but it's good to, if somebody's going on and on. So good. Okay, so I don't think we have any brand new people. Martha has been here a lot.
Revise agenda.
Okay.
Revised agenda is where? Is it in the chat?
Oh, yes, that's revised agenda is next after getting the timekeeper vibes watcher note taker.
Is it in the chat? Where is it?
No, you got it as an email.
We're just going through the agenda, and revising is one of the first things to do.
Diane asked for a revision. You asked for a revision, Diane. I've added you to 4A.
Oh, that's where it should be. Yeah, I
Yes,
thought so
yes.
too. Okay, so it's not really a revision. I just thought I would give you a little report ahead of time
Right, right.
to make it faster. Okay, so are there any revisions to the agenda? Does anyone want to add anything or subtract?
And does Jean find it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on my iPhone looking for the
Agenda?
agenda.
It went out yesterday morning, Saturday morning as an
Well,
email in
I
the
have the
body.
agenda, but it doesn't have time.
Oh, yes, it does. So what we're doing now is.
Oh, I see. It
Mhm.
does. Okay, it does.
Okay. So we're done with that. There were no revision. Oh, Gloria?
Just fast, make it multiple people share screen, not just one.
You do
Make
that
it-
individually, I believe.
No,
No, but Ellen has allowed it, I believe.
okay, good.
Right, Ellen?
Oh,
It's
because you're
already.
going to share this screen. Okay, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes,
Okay.
I leave it open, unlike
Okay.
Ellen Schwartz. I leave.
Thank you, Ellen.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's because that you're okay. Now we're on number 2. Only brand new people who have never attended a disarm meeting, and that is none of us, I believe. So, short reports on WILF action since the last meeting. If your topic is not on the agenda and not to do with hot topics, is there anyone else who this is 2B? Is anyone else want to say anything about this?
I've really tried to put everything possible on the agenda.
Right, and I think you do a great job with that. Yes. Okay, Jean, do you have your hand raised?
I'll just be very brief. When everybody else was basking in the warm weather, I was watching or listening to the webinar on the ICBM, and it was very impressive, I have to say.
We're going to talk about that. That's going to be in item 5A1.
Okay, Odile?
I just want to say we continue to do the Vigil for Peace in Ann Arbor every Friday at 5:30 p.m. It's nighttime. But, and we are just few people doing it right now because the weather being so bad.
Right,
Yeah.
that is essentially in 4A.
Which
Okay.
is current campaigns, press for disarmament. Yes, that's
Well, no,
basic.
4A is Gaza-Israel war, where people report on
Oh,
what
yeah,
they're doing.
Gaza-Israel war. That's right. I was reading 5. Okay, so I think we're done with that. So disarm minutes approval. If there are any more changes, then.
So Diane asked for some changes just earlier today. So I have made that change you asked in that paragraph.
Yeah.
And I
that
called
was
it R2.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
It was
wasn't
to
that
do with
good
what
in
you
my.
did.
Yeah.
Okay. So you all got R1 yesterday. And there's this little change in one little paragraph about the White House demonstration. Really was not substantive. It was mostly an ordering.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping nobody else had anything else. Eileen, you said everything was fine. So I would like somebody I see Martha clapping.
If there are no
Can
corrections,
somebody
the minutes
move that
stand as
we?
is. Yeah, so they stand as is. If there are no more corrections, they stand as distributed and corrected. Okay, so now we're on
I will
to.
send out the R2 version.
Okay, but let's see. Okay, now we're on 4 hot topics, and 4A is Gaza, Israel. And I sent a little report out about that because of this coalition that started in December, and they've been meeting every week since. And there's, I think his name is Francis Boyle. He's a lawyer, and he was in the Bosnian Commission. He represented, so he's been doing this genocide things at the UN for years. And he has lots of opinions, and he writes like hundreds of emails. And so that has been ongoing. And I just said that at today's meeting, they talked about how certain countries are not supporting UNWA was what they called it, which is the UN Relief Services for Palestine. And but they were the ones that got to 2,000 organizations to support the South Africa going to the ICJ. So and it's over 2,000 now organizations that have supported that.
Where are you?
I'm on Gaza-Israel war.
4A.
No. What state? Where are you based for your coalition?
It's international. They have people in South America. So
Right,
it's
I give you the name of it.
Yeah, it's
The
in
name
the
is the International Coalition to Stop Genocide in Palestine. International Coalition to Stop Genocide in Palestine. And Diane got on their email list. So anybody who gets on their email list can attend these meetings, right, Diane?
Well, there's a listserv that they use, and they call it the ISP, whatever. So those people have gotten on who get the emails. You're almost kind of lucky not to get them sometimes because there's so many. Like I said, this Boyle, Professor Boyle, has just writes so much. But I did ask for someone else, Kathleen Temple, who does the peace bits every day. She said she was interested in being on it, and I don't think so. I wrote to see if she could get on it, but I don't think she has. So anyway, but if anybody wants to attend meetings, I could send you information. It's they have a meeting. They've been having a meeting every week. Yes, John?
Yeah, I just want to say that I watched an excellent, not too long, with people reading the information with a thorough coverage as of January 14th, and they showed it again today. The Quakers, the Friends meeting in Northfield, Minnesota, and we asked that they make it available. So I will share that with you all later. But when you see it, please watch it because it really is good and up to date and has a lot of excellent presentation of information. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Odile?
Yes, I attended a Zoom that was very interface. It was from Detroit, and there were Ueda, Arab, and Palestinian Christian and Muslim, and then many Jewish people also. It was very good, and they were Christians, and so it was very interface, and it was good, very forward.
Good.
So you all understand what this UNRWA is. This is the United Nations Relief to Gaza, who coordinate those 400 trucks that used to come in every day because Gaza can't grow enough food for itself, right? You understand that's how it used to be, 400 trucks a day down to about 5 or 6. And so apparently somebody found out, I don't know why it's taken them this long to find out, that some of the people who work for UNRWA somehow or other were a part of the attacks on October the 7th. And so the US has said, we're not going to give any more money to UNRWA because of this. And the UK too. And UNRWA gets its money so it can send the food and medicine into Gaza from governments like the US. So this is really a very, very unfortunate situation. And I don't know who's proven that some of their workers were actually part of the attack. Eileen.
I thought it was unclear that we don't trust Netanyahu's media for good reason. And there's been no definite proof of this as far as I know. However, it seems like the UNRWA leaders let these individuals go because of the hoopla.
I don't agree.
You mean they laid them off?
That's the media I got.
Laid them off?
I don't agree that it's because of the hoopla. I think it's a very serious security issue, and they can't release the information until they have the details very pinned down. I've been following it very closely.
Thank you.
And UNRWA was started to help the Palestinians. According to today's New York Times, it was in the headline on the front page.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay, Odile and then Robin.
Yeah, they used to feed the Palestinian for a long, long time, the refugee. So it's not, it didn't start just then. It's been a long, long time. I give them money, so I know about UNRWA, and they are the major people that give food in the refugee camp in Palestine.
is it true
Wait.
that there's over 10,000 workers?
It might
I
be
imagine so.
because they give in
It's very
Jenin,
large. It's
give,
very major.
yeah, they give a lot of food and take care of the schools. They do a lot there. It's a major. It's like the Red Cross of. They have a Red Crescent, but it's a very major organization there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Robin.
Robin, you have your hand.
I think we've gone to 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll just let Robin speak because she's had her hand up. How about that?
Yeah, I think this is a very important issue, and I suggest that our committee, I would be glad to be on it or lead it or whatever, to investigate how valid these charges are, and they might be valid, but that that's not a reason for withdrawing all aid to this this fund, which is essential for maintaining the health of the people in Palestine. So I put that forward as a proposal.
Good. I think that's good. Yeah.
Can you write a letter? Could you write a letter that we could sign?
Okay.
But
Yeah, that's a
you're going
good
to do
Could you
further
draft something?
research first, right?
A what?
You said you were going to do further research. I don't know how you can.
Yes.
I said we or who else is interested could keep up to date on the issues. I mean, I think the pushback from the major funders to withhold all or suspend all aid is overreach,
It is.
opinion. And maybe that's all we need to say, that, you know, the information is continuing as to the people who knows what they actually did, but that we join with other groups. I'm sure other groups are formulating letters at this point. And we join with them to call on the United States not to suspend all aid to UNRWA.
I could well imagine that International WILPF is doing something about this. Maybe you could look, I haven't seen an email from them, but maybe you could
Okay.
contact the Secretariat, Robin, and see if they were preparing a statement.
Good
Okay,
idea.
good idea, yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you. If you could just take the lead on this, it will help. And you could just send it to Disarm Committee listserv, what you're finding out. Thank you.
Good, yeah.
Great. Okay, so we've had 10 minutes, more than 10 minutes on that. And Ukraine is next. 3 minutes. Yeah, Sweden is moving closer.
Right. This is, this was the original reasoning, President Putin, why he felt moved to invade Ukraine was he didn't like the fact that NATO countries near to him were becoming members of NATO. He saw that Ukraine was moving in that direction and he didn't want it to happen. So every country that's added to NATO is to his mind further threat, and so he's not going to give up. He's attacking Ukraine. Sweden was being held up by Turkey because they didn't like the way Sweden was treating some of their, they see the Kurdish people as terrorists, the Turkey does, and that some of those Kurdish people were taking asylum in Sweden. So they saw Sweden being on the side of people they thought were terrorists, but somehow or other, and I haven't seen it yet, they got that sorted out. So now Turkey isn't stopping Sweden from becoming a member anymore. So anyway, so this is all, again, very worrisome. And, I'm a member of the Peace in Ukraine Coalition. We will be having a meeting soon. And we try to think of things we can do and I'll certainly let you all know, if we come up with actions and stuff. Is it, Gloria, is your hand up for this?
Yes, it definitely is. I think we're dealing with a media that's not covering anything contrary to the Pentagon line on Ukraine. It's almost as bad as during the Bosnian War, which was a total whiteout of anything contrary to the line. So I think what we need to do is bring back some of the nuance, also the fact that this money is going into a rat hole because those people are totally corrupt in Ukraine, the oligarchs, and there is no accountability there. I think it could be handled on a monetary basis, and people are hurting here in this country. And we are having Raytheon getting, huge contracts. They have no reason. They're flooding our media with pro-Ukraine stuff here in Tucson because there's no reason to want peace when you're getting so many contracts for war. And we have a totally controlled press here, pretty much. So that's what we need to do. And that's going to be later. I'll talk about, the little survey about media.
Okay, 3 minutes is up.
Okay, Odile, you have your hand up, but I think that might be left over.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we're going to go on to diffuse nuclear war and the third anniversary of entry into force of the TPNW. I didn't do anything. I was home babysitting. Okay, any others?
Yeah, I think, well, McGregor has sent some photographs of what she did. Currently, she's on a bus coming back from a Gaza demonstration.
Oh,
Are you able to speak, McGregor? No, she's not able to speak at the moment.
okay.
I wrote a long letter to my congresswoman, sent it to her about why we wanted the TPNW and the fact that this nuclear deterrence theory was false. And, I submitted it on the 22nd. I got her generic answer. Oh, I'll be in touch. But she hasn't. Now, it so happens that last Wednesday, I was in her office in DC. This was on account of my American Physical Society. I met with one of her aides, but I was only allowed to talk about the 5 issues that the American Physical Society wanted me to talk about.
Oh,
But I now have the email address of her aide. And so when I write to thank him for
there you
meeting
go.
with us, I will tell him more about the TPNW.
Good.
Okay. So, Robin, I see your hand.
Yeah, okay. Just a report from Burlington, Vermont. There are 2 points I'd like to make. For one thing, the event fell on the day before the doomsday clock. And to my mind, the doomsday clock was a kind of a more dramatic idea to present to people. So we walked with the big banner saying nuclear weapons are forbidden. No,
Illegal.
illegal. And we had a big clock, like from a high school, those clocks that are this big. And we said, visit the Doomsday website. And in a way, that was a more interesting thing because, like, what, Doomsday, and what's going to happen, and is it going to change, or is it going? And of course, it was very disappointed. It just stayed the same. It was 90 seconds. So there was that element, but in our town, it happened that the march that we planned up Church Street was right at the time. It was a half hour. I planned it carefully, half hour before the demonstration on Palestine and the city council voting, and they voted down the permission to bring a proposal, put a proposal on the ballot, our ballot in March. The conservative folks, the pro-Zionist folks, would not allow this. It was a sort of an apartheid type proposal from the American Friends Service Committee, would not allow it to be on the ballot. So it was a big defeat for us. So that was disappointing. That debate on that went on for 4 hours that evening. So our issue of TPNW got completely, you know, washed away. And I think, frankly, we, Burlington Wilf, and mainly me, deserve a little self-criticism, which is that no one knows what it is. No one is paying attention to it. Even activists that I said, well, come and join us. Treaty prohibiting nuclear weapons. Well, what is that? And so the comment was, you should have held a talk session before that to help people know what it was about. As we held a talk session before the human rights, before, you know, December 10th and the annual, it was the 75th anniversary of the human rights law, and that was good, and people came and learned things and so on and so forth, and we neglected to do the education component prior to the demonstration. So that's just my report.
Eileen has her hand up.
Yeah, Eileen.
Yeah, I had, I try to get people to do this with me, and people just can't handle the cold. But I took 1 hour on Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, in front of the post office that had a little alcove, but it was big enough to not stop traffic. And I must say, I got 75 people to accept this size, you know, a quarter of 8.5 by 11, to look at and listen to a little bit of my explanation of the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, and the bill, the two bills actually. Well, one's a resolution, the Jim McGovern resolution, and of course the Eleanor Norton's bill. And please talk to your legislators. They took it. Some had little conversations, and then on the third day, a couple with 3 kids went in, didn't even talk with them, didn't even say, hey, did you know there was a treaty to ban nuclear weapons, an international treaty, which is how I entice people into conversation. They went in and they were there for a long time, and the result was they walked out smugly. And I just said that simple phrase, ignoring me. And 2 minutes later, the manager and a man, the manager is a very short woman, she came flanked by a 5'10" man.
Manager of what?
Of the post office.
Came out and told you to go away.
Said, I cannot pass these out. You're upsetting people. You can't do that on the sidewalk in front. It belongs to the post office. I says, I don't think so. Sidewalks are for public. Anyway, I did land up leaving, although I knew I was right. And that's always hard for me to leave. And went to the police station. And the police station woman went to the back room with the authority and all, to get the okay to respond as she wanted. You're not soliciting.
Right.
Could be on the sidewalk in front of the courthouse. So she offered me that. But if somebody is kicked off of anything in Newton and they make a lot of noise, the police pay attention to the noise. And these were 30-somethings who I felt were very entitled, or felt they were very entitled. And you know, that's the way it is here in Newton.
Wow.
Well done for your efforts up till that point. Sounds like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Have
you-
you ever
you reached
been arrested?
a lot of people. You were kicked out.
Have you ever been arrested, Eileen?
Once, but was something unrelated to this kind of work. Why? It was
Hi,
humiliating.
can I call you back? I'm on a meeting. on
So
Zoom.
were
Okay,
30
I'll be back,
people
thanks.
came out for your event?
No, that's the problem. It's been freezing. I could only stand
Oh.
for 1 hour to
Yeah,
those
yeah.
days. It's been very freezing. And I was going to go back. I wanted to do a 5-day thing because, you know, kind of make up the day. And it's been raining here.
You
It's been
know,
very, and not just
okay,
rain.
I'm timekeeper. We're way over
Anyway,
3
it's been
minutes. We don't need to
bad
discuss.
weather.
We don't need to discuss the weather. We're way over 3 minutes.
We can
Okay.
talk about this at the end of the, if we want to keep.
By the way, I'm operating on 5 hours of sleep. I'm not sure how long I'm going to last. I have nothing for AI, just FYI.
Okay, okay, that's good to know. And Nancy, you have your hand up, but we are past time, so I will just call on you because you do have your hand up.
You're on
Unmute.
mute.
Don't know what kind of literature you were passing out, Eileen, but it does seem to me from the recent news articles about the expanding war, so to speak, that and the countries involved, that some sort of fact sheet, regardless of whether they really take in the TPNW and the import, but to put those two together would be important. That the current information, you know, coming out of the Middle East, and I don't think a lot of people know how many nuclear weapons Israel has, for example. I don't think they know that Iran has increased their enrichment. So I just think a fact sheet might be helpful as well, on the back maybe of your handout or something.
Oh, on the back, I had a picture of a pie that indicated where our military budget was. Yeah, the great map from the conference several of you attended with MapEye. I finally got the archive on it. And I'm able to do snapshots, but it's over time. I don't bring up Gaza and Israel in Newton on the streets. It's heated.
Well, there was an attack on Jordan today.
Oh my God.
Oh my, okay, let's go on to the campaign reports, which is 5. And we have 11 campaigns.
5.
And the current ones, disarmament is continued to press, is the first AI is continued to press for disarmament. Informative disarmament webinars you have attended since January 14th. Example, the Sentinel ICBM program. So does anybody want to talk about any?
Yeah, I did. I went to that one. I told you about that one. That was organized by the Physicist Coalition to Reduce the Nuclear Threat. We had people, extremely expert people, who are physicists who've been working on this for decades. And in particular, they were talking about ICBMs and this new program, this modernization program that would take, there are 450 silos out there, mostly in Montana, Wyoming, and North Dakota, each one with an ICBM in it, ready to be fired off to probably to Russia. And the thing that I really understood from that, and then the fact is it's cost overruns. We learned about the increasing cost of this program. It went up from $62 billion. It's now up to $96 billion. And this is to change the missiles, change the nuclear warheads. And they reckon it would take them a week to do one silo. So they've got to go out to the silos. They've got to change all the electronics that command this missile and so on and so forth. But the one thing that I learned that was new to me is something called sponge theory. Okay. So these things have been there since the 1960s. All right. And there were 450 of them. Now, back in the 60s, the Russians didn't have as many ICBMs as they do now. So the idea was, these are sitting ducks. These are targets. So if Russia wanted to attack us, they would attack 450 silos. That would use up 450 of their missiles. Okay. So they would have fewer missiles to deal with the rest of the country. So we were essentially sacrificing Montana.
What a
Wyoming.
perverse idea.
Yeah, and this is called sponge theory. You're soaking up the Russian, as it was Soviet Union, missiles by giving them sitting duck targets. Okay, so I had not understood that point of view of why we had silos in 450 places that everybody knows where they are. You can go stand outside one, so the Russians know where they are. So this was new. This was a take on it that I didn't know, but we are now modeling. So if some of those silos were attacked, they can now model what a weapon coming in from Russia, how much radioactive fallout it would create, and where the winds are blowing, and how many people would suffer from this fallout. And they reckon, I think it's if all of them were attacked, I am not sure on that, 300 million people would be affected by the fallout from these 450 silos being attacked by Russia. And there would be, 1 to 2 million deaths immediately from radiation exposure. And then you would have this ongoing fallout issue. And those of you who live in New York, forget it, you're going to be gone. And so on and so forth. So, because the wind blows that way. All right. So all of this, so trying to explain to the general public that this is the situation, and that really we don't need these sitting duck missiles, that this is this is what the government would say. We got the nuclear submarines that we don't know where they are, so they can fire off missiles. And we've got the B-52 bombers that can drop weapons right onto Russia and what have you. So anyway, so I went to that. I hope some of you went to it, because those people talking to you have worked on this kind of thing for decades. So what else? And I know there was one on Saturday. I was on a plane. I missed it. Did anybody go to the one?
Yes.
Tell us, Jean, what did you learn there?
Yes, there's an overlap with what you said, and the emphasis is the high cost and the high risk of nuclear war. It's a terribly high risk situation. And I took many, many, many notes, but I can't compact them or summarize them. But I have to say, the cost is very high, and the potential for death of 3 million people is very disturbing, and the risk of nuclear war is very great.
Mm-hmm.
And this came from 3 physicists, 2 from Princeton and 1 from Boston University. And they were speaking mostly from the safety angle, not just from what happens, but from the safety question.
And that is now recorded. And because I didn't go to it, but I registered. You should always register, even if you know you can't go, because then you get a link to the recording.
Yeah,
so I will send you all
the
link to the recording.
It's available.
Okay, Robin?
Isn't it true that the people of those states support this outrageous and stupid fantasy of the sponge theory?
I think they don't understand that philosophy.
Right.
They like the fact that there were jobs created
to
make them, but now all you have is 2 people sitting there. They're called, what do they call, missionaries. Yeah.
Okay.
And you have to have, both of them have to agree that the president's now told you to put the key in and make the missile go off. So I don't think those silos create many jobs anymore. But if they have to renew everything, yes, it will create a lot of jobs for people in Montana. And so the fact they're a sponge is less obvious to them.
My goodness. Nancy and then Linda. Nancy and then Linda.
Thank you. I just want to say that in the early 80s, when we had the nuclear freeze movement, there were a tremendous amount of materials, very simply written, numbers and graphs and charts, but very, very simply written, and they really got the point across. And I think that's something we need to do again.
Can you research it?
Pardon me?
Would you look for it, see if there is any of it around?
Well, I'll try to. I mean, I've got a
But some of it has changed in tone. I mean,
Well, the
there was-
silos are very at risk.
Excuse me?
The silos, the sides of the silos are very at risk.
Sure.
Not protecting those ICBMs.
But I just want to say that the nuclear freeze was extremely effective. And, you know, it really led eventually to Reagan and Gorbachev making their deal. So I just think that it takes a while to get people educated. But if we had some really clear, simple materials, that might help.
Well,
And
somebody can research it.
So
It would be good.
I can point you to some websites where that is. In fact, the Sebastian has an interactive map, and you can say what would happen if an ICBM hit Palo Alto. So and you can see how many people would hit a silo. There are no silos in Palo Alto. So, but those of you who live in the East should go ahead and just see what your city would suffer and how many people would die. But
when I went to two anti-nuclear, hydrogen bomb conferences in Japan, I was assigned to listen to agricultural workers. And they were just so graphic on how dangerous this was, their experience with nuclear weapons. And I had the same experience at the UN in a coffee shop where women from Norway talked about how terrifying it was when the nuclear submarines came into the Baltic. So, you know, with Nancy is right, this was a very real experience of danger.
Okay, Linda?
To Nancy's point before that the people support it in the Midwest where these silos are, it's they've been convinced that a strike would to those missiles, to those silos, is less likely than an earthquake. And that's what the public has been led to believe. And they've also been, let's say, that a lot of the military's largesse in terms of paving new roads and adding some you know, some having some pork spending in the regions is very attractive to the local elected officials. And so this is what's been going on for this upgrading, let's say, this modern so-called modernization program, which took the attention of the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists a couple of years ago, where one of the editors wrote a brilliant article entitled something like, "Why are we spending a 900?" At that point, it was only $900 million on new ICBMs, and one of the things that they pointed out, and that's when I learned about this sponge, that the idea, and at this point, my daughter was living in Oklahoma, which doesn't have any ICBMs, but close enough to these sites that in theory, I mean, just it was almost unbelievable to me that our military would conceive of the breadbasket of the United States to be a sacrifice zone.
It's a sacrifice.
Just, you know, that And the concept, I'm curious, Cheryl, if after that, whether the physicists that you heard speak discussed what would happen to the breadbasket of the
Oh
United
yeah, no,
States.
we would be,
Not
we'd
only,
be,
because
right. Mhm. No, there's a lot
yeah,
of
yeah,
information.
because
There was
this
a
is,
paper published in a Nature magazine that was highly touted last year, where they told you about the nuclear winter and how, they were talking about an exchange between India and Pakistan and what would happen if to the rest of us, just based on a smallish exchange between India and Pakistan, who both have. So that stuff has been out there, and when it comes out, some of the major media pick it up and talk about it, but then it disappears. But I think we need to keep moving. I'm sorry, to keep going through the agenda.
okay, thank you.
Right, is that your old hand from before? That's up.
No, I have to show you the dot chart. Can you see that?
No,
It's just a blur.
Really? Why is it a blur? Okay.
what is it you're showing us?
It looks like a blank paper.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Well, anyway, it's the famous dot chart that was developed by a guy from Burlington. It's the number of nuclear weapons around the world, and in the center is a square with only one dot in it, and that represents all the tonnage of weapons used in World War II. And so it tries to visualize for people the outrageousness of the continued buildup of nuclear weapons. For example, in the corner is a submarine with 8 dots in it, and yet around it are all these other millions of dots. Now that was before we downsized, so this was back in the 80s, and those of you who were active then probably remember the dot chart, but it got published in I have a copy of it that he gave me from Russia. It was in Russian, and they published his dot chart. So these things are, I think, at least in Burlington, are being revised, and the guy who did it is sort of coming back to being an activist.
Okay, well,
How do you, is it a doc or a
DOT.
Oh,
DOT chart.
And each dot represents the tonnage of equivalent, I presume, in TNT that was dropped in World War II, and then what we have now in comparison, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Jean, are you calling time?
Just Google nuclear location map. Just Google nuclear location map. I tried to put in the chat and I couldn't, but it gives you an idea.
But
of how
the
widespread.
For the dot chart, you could Google dot chart, and Jim Geyer is the name of the guy who developed it here, and then it went public, and the important organizations also duplicated it. But anyway, GEIER, Jim Geyer.
So can I just say that the next item was supposed to be McGregor, but I think she was on her bus. I see she's disappeared. I'm hoping she's getting home. So we'll put off her report on Vandenberg until later when she's gotten home. Okay.
Okay. And then 5.2 is Norton's bill.
Right. And all right. So it's the usual stuff. We need more co-sponsors, but I do want to show you something that I visited in Washington, D.C. We have a National Museum of Women, the history of women that's been trying to exist in DC for decades. They have an exhibit in the public library there called Black Feminists in DC, the history of Black feminists in DC. And I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm trying to share my screen, and hopefully this is going to work. It's loading. Yep. Can you see that?
Oh, it is? Yeah, Eleanor Holmes Norton.
That is
uh-huh.
Eleanor Holmes Norton in the 1970s. I know her as a little old lady with gray hair. This is what she looked like in the 1970s. And she was a feminist lawyer in DC. And here you see her sitting with Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem, and behind is Fannie Lou Hamer. So the point is that Eleanor Holmes Norton has been around a long time. And so she started as a Black feminist lawyer, and she joined she worked for the Nonviolent Action Group and the Mississippi Freedom Summer, 1964. So she was a keynote speaker when they founded an organization. So she's been around a long time. She knows a great deal. And we just think of her as the co-sponsor of a bill to stop nuclear weapons. But in fact, her history and her background is remarkable. And so
Maybe Helen Thomas knew all that.
maybe she did, but I never, so this is in a public library, open to the public, and it's called Black Feminist DC, the Civil Rights and Black Power Era. And I, and then she knew Fannie Lou Hamer. So here's Fannie Lou Hamer with some other ladies. So these women have been working a long time for feminism and Black women to be, also equal like the rest of us. So anyway, so this is what Eleanor Holmes.
Where is that?
It's in the Martin Luther King Public Library in Washington, D.C., which is near the National Gallery. So that's what I wanted just to tell you, because I was so delighted to see her as a young lady from 50 years ago.
Well, in the DC area, we've heard of her for 50 years. So
Well, and she started in New York City as head of the Human Rights Commission.
Okay. All right. So anyway,
I was a roommate with her at Antioch College. That must have been 1960.
Ah,
Wow.
well, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Anyway, so I was, I was ignorant about her early history. So I just wanted to show the rest of you that, what she looked like back then and what she's done. Thank you. I will stop sharing.
Yeah, that was nice.
And she has introduced her bill, which was our bill, every session since 1994.
Wow.
30
So
years.
we're getting your congressperson to co-sponsor the bill is essentially what we need you to do. And you do that by following the link in the agenda that will get a sample letter to send to your congressperson if they haven't already co-sponsored it.
And Robin, that college experience between being at Antioch and being with you, I'm sure, influenced her life quite a bit. Thank you.
Oh, about that, but Antioch was just a fertile ground for new ideas, for sure.
Yep, my sister went there. Thank you.
You were a roommate like for a whole year or just for some conference?
No, just and I've tried to remind her of it, and she doesn't quite recall. I think we were on the same floor for a while, and I remember being a roommate. Maybe I had two roommates at a time, and whatever. It's
okay, lovely.
Okay, so we're going to go on to reports of coalitions, actions within various coalitions.
I have one thing that I would like to do here, if I may.
Sure.
Before we move on, because this is related to what we're talking about right now. And that is, I want to share my screen. And I just wanted to let you know that the hand circulated petition, we got two of them from Arcata yesterday, or today, I guess it was mailed on the 18th though. But so circulating the petition in public is a good thing to do, and you can always access it by going to prop1.org.
Say that again.
Prop,
Louder.
PROP1.org. I'm ET@prop1.org. So if you can't remember, just look for my email address and it's there.
And all the literature that we've been handing out at the second meeting of the states parties, and when I go to places and I hand things, are driving more people to the online petition. So I keep an eye on that. We're up to like 3,200 or so now. So keep sending those what I call the Oppenheimer flyer, and the other stuff that I've sent you that I prepared for the meeting at the UN on the TPNW, because that has links to the online, which is we need to get more signatures there.
And there's a QR code, so people can just point at the petition and sign.
I can't hear. 2R code. What's that?
QR code. Okay, I'll show you.
It's those.
All those dots, all
lines.
those dots in a square.
Dots. Yeah, in a square, you just put your camera to it.
Oh,
brings it
okay.
Down
Got
there
it.
at the corner.
This
Good
thing.
luck.
Okay.
Could I just say, it's always seemed to me that we should put a deadline on a petition instead of
Yeah.
keeping them going forever, because I mean, how many of those names, I mean, of course, Ellen is a devotee of this, and she will make sure that those names get transcribed and put on a larger list and sent somewhere. But you
Well,
know,
I get a,
that was my argument.
I scan them.
Uh-huh.
And then when I travel, like when I went to Japan, I brought a disc that had all of the scans on the disc, so that and presented it to them on behalf.
Where do we
of-
find it? If we don't have the petition, we can't go to the QR code. Where is the essence? Where's the beginning?
It's
I just
in.
put
I've
it in
been
the chat.
Right, and I've been sending emails to you
Put
about
it in
this.
the chat. Proposition1.org, shortened to prop1.org.
Okay. That's very simple. Thank you.
Yes. Yay, Ellen.
Is that it, Ellen?
That's it.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so now we're at 5A3,
Little three.
which is the coalitions.
Right. So I put in so Abolition 2000 is a long-standing international coalition of which we are part, which is, working. When it was started some decades ago, they were hoping to abolish nuclear weapons by the year 2000. That was why it's called Abolition 2000. But we're still here with too many nuclear weapons. So they're actually having their annual general meeting. And I gave you there the registration in the agenda. They do it twice. They do it once for people in the Americas, and they do it once for people in Asia to try to account for the different time zones. So if you want to hear from people who've been working on this for years with their new ideas and what have you, please sign up. It's a free thing. Okay, I won't say any more. Let's
I
move
actually
on.
thought it was the weekend. I thought it was like 3 days, but I think
Well, that's because you can. It depends what time zone you're in.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it's on Abolition 2000. That's where you go.
Yes.
It's in the agenda. There's a link to the registration page.
It's very dynamic. Be sure and look at it. It's a very dynamic organization.
Right.
I was in the first one in
I was
New
too.
York.
I was
Right.
also. We were
Right.
probably
So now they do it by Zoom, and it's international. They get very good speakers, and they're so thank you for trying to do that. Can we move on to Gloria?
I guess, Gloria, you're next. So
Okay, I will try to open up here. And I'm going to send you my nuke link there. We are the Leviathan's belly. of Arizona. And we have a PBS station that is next door to Raytheon's office in the same building. And we have one Raytheon engineer on our PBS channel here. So it's bad. So what I'm trying to do is to outflank them. So what I'm doing is hopefully we can find this presentation and let me know when you can see it. I haven't shared it yet.
Gloria
I'm
has this
sharing it
subcommittee.
now. I'm sharing
She
it
has
now.
this subcommittee with that long name that you see in the agenda, and so she's
Hopefully-
going to tell you what this subcommittee is trying to do.
Are you seeing the slides?
We see.
We're just seeing the
click
ad
to add
title.
title.
Are you seeing PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I
Says
have to
click to
find it.
add
It's
title.
not one that's up, unfortunately. I have to find it. Okay, so here are two slides. They're very important slides. One of them is the PNF. You know what PNF is? It's our national magazine, Peace and Freedom. And it's taking a while to open up. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so this will be our article. It's a draft, and this is just a screenshot from it. We hope to do this as our premier project with the CCS, Communications Access, Culture in the Arts, and Sensitization. That last came from Chopin. What we're hoping to do is what Jane Addams did, and that is to survey what you have. When you have rumor and myth and nobody can get through to the media won't cover us. There's a lot of negativity and lack of coordinated action on media, even though they are pretty much stonewalling news. But if we can survey the media contacts that people already have by asking them about family, friends, children, families, children, old school chums, some reporter who did cover them, whether on TV or in the newspaper or on radio. Here's a flow chart. Okay, so the media survey will go to WILPF, and then the membership will reply, and we'll be advertising it all over the place in the branches and in PNF and the alerts or whatever. So then these people will be segregated, not segregated is a bad term, separated out, selected out to be media ambassadors. And that will be a selected, previously interested in this issue that crosses all issues, because getting the word out crosses every issue that WILPF is involved in. And yet we're not getting the word out. Even in Europe, they weren't when they did that big no to NATO thing. It was very disappointing. So we need these media ambassadors who will fill out the survey and let us know what they don't have to do any calling. It's not that much work. Just who do you already know? You have to sit with this a while to remember. Okay, so then it will be sent down to the Excel contact sheet. Then when WILPF needs media coverage, it won't go scattershot to everybody. It will go out to this group of media ambassadors. And that's a subset of the mailings, to WILPF in general. So instead of a few people here and there, and we don't even know who's doing it, across the whole US, the ambassadors will contract their local media. And that will be a whole new day, a whole new era in communications access for WILPF, because these people are already selected as interested and they already have existing contacts in the media. Now, does that make sense? Can you follow that?
Yes, and then are you also going to help them with the text, with the actual content of what they're supposed to tell the media?
Yeah, I'm helping. I had Glenn, and then I got slapped on the wrist by Darian. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but it may end up being a staff member doing it. I hope they'll at least let our little committee be a co-sponsor of it. I don't care who does it. Believe me, I'm not out to create.
It's the content. It's the who's going to write the content?
I did it already, and they can use that as the model, or they can go to something else. I mean, these things tend to get bogged down, and I'm saying I want you all here to advocate for me, because we're a very small little new subcommittee and we don't have any visibility because that hasn't happened.
No, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the project, Gloria. I'm saying once you've got the ambassadors in place, who's going to provide them with the verbiage for them to send to their local?
Oh, that will be different things. We'll have these come in, urgent release or PR urgent out to the ambassadors. Anybody could submit to them. I don't know.
So if it's a disarm issue, you would expect disarm to provide the verbiage. If it's really an environmental issue, you would expect Earth Democracy to provide the verbiage.
Exactly.
Right. So it's creating the verbiage that goes out to the letters to the editor or what have you. That's where a lot of people get stuck because they're
Well,
not sure what to
I
say.
don't think it's us creating letters to the editor. We're already doing that. What we're not doing is surveying who has contacts in the media who will cover us on the mainstream media.
Okay.
National newspapers, TV, PBS, radio, even, community radio. This is nothing to do with letters to the editor. This is about who do you know who works in the media. And you'd be amazed. I know two right now that are current contacts, one in Chicago and one in Tucson. And if
Right,
people,
and I have- okay.
they throw that away. Somebody covers you and then you forget who that was. That happens over and over and over. You should be logging that in, keeping that name and contact.
Okay, so that you all could start thinking about who do you deal with at your branch level with in your local newspaper? Who's your contact there? Because
Right,
that's
and who covered you? And I know Robin had some good coverage where they had the ladder against the building. Who was that? Who was that reporter? Keep it in a logbook. Who was that?
okay. So that's the ambassadors are people who already do have contacts somehow or other with your local media. Okay,
Right.
I understand
And then we
better
could
now.
send
Sorry.
out a coordinated thing across the country only to those people, not a big scatter shot where most people don't care and they're not even listening. Make them feel that they're very vital. They should feel it's an important role being a media ambassador.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so the next thing is promote peace treaties. That's 5A6, and PEP and the Convention on the Rights of the Child are mentioned in the agenda.
Right. So some of us attended the January the 17th event that you kindly made happen, Diane, where we heard again Judith Hand talking about her project Enduring Peace, which here, those of us on the Disarm Committee had already heard her talk about this last year. We decided not to provide her with support from the committee, but nevertheless, she's carrying on. She's trying to create a steering committee. She does have some people from San Diego who are helping her. So that all happened on the 17th. And Diane, is there a recording?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Go to Ellen, it's WILPF US Today. Is that right? Is Ellen listening?
And maybe Ellen could put something in the chat. So for those of you who didn't hear her speak, I mean, she is carrying on regardless of whether Disarm's going to help her or not. And she has a lot of contacts and she has a lot of energy. I think there was a period where she was ill, and now she's past that. So now she's back, and she has people outside WILPF who are helping. Okay, she's not depending on us, but nevertheless, her idea continues to be interesting. And the organization that we just call Law Not War are very similar. They are saying we have to solve disputes between countries based on law and negotiation, and not by military fighting. So that's really basically what she's saying. But she wants a treaty that everybody signs, that they agree to negotiate and not fight. Essentially, that's the bottom line. So.
And the website is WILPF US Today, and you can go to it, and there's so many recordings there.
This is our YouTube channel, right?
YouTube channel, right. Yeah.
So maybe Ellen, you could just put in there in the chat the specific, because we have lots of, if you just go to the channel, you're faced with our long lists of things, but you should be able to find specifically that recording for that day. And I don't think anybody's done anything particularly about the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, unless it was suggested that you use that argument that was, applied to the bombing of Gaza. I mean, this was part of the argument made to the International Court of Justice, which is that too many children are being killed by the bombing of Gaza. And it's contrary to this UN convention and which Israel has signed up to. So that's kind of the connection. And if you want to tug at the heartstrings of your congressperson to try to get them to ask for a ceasefire, then you talk about the terrible numbers of children who are being killed in Gaza.
Yeah. Okay, 2 hands I see raised. So Jean, you're unmuted, and then Nancy.
Our Governor Hochul is very big on this issue, and it's become a very forefront issue here in New York State. And I think that's very important. And I would say that we should be using something like that as a way to contact legislators and so on. It's an outrage, an absolute bloody outrage, that the U.S. has never signed on to the treaties of the child.
Right.
Never. I mean, it's not signed on to many treaties. It's been avoidant. But the child is so basic.
But Israel has signed and they don't care. They put children in jail, and so what does it matter when someone signed? It doesn't do anything.
Well, the U.S. is the power behind Israel, so we should have the U.S. sign it.
Yes, I agree, but that's not the point I was making.
Right. Yeah, the effectiveness of these treaties it's a big issue. Nancy?
Well, I'm glad we're having this discussion on the rights of the child. The point is that the U.S. did sign, but it hasn't been ratified by Congress, by the Senate. So that's the big problem there. And I brought it up a couple of times. Anyway, I think we should really highlight this because it was not mentioned in the at the Court of Justice. And of course, we all know what's happening with children there, but I think it really needs to be highlighted and brought to people's attention. And we really could use it, I think, in letters to the editor or calls to Congress. An outrage, of course.
Yes.
Has anybody written this up in a short
I did write it up in a short piece. I can send it to you all.
Please.
But
it always helps to have
a
starting place.
The point that we're sending so many weapons to Israel is you know, really, we have to keep making that.
Okay. So Robin, you're next with collaborate with WILPF sections in Africa.
Yes. Okay. So we held a webinar in here in Burlington with a man who happens to be the son of a king of the Congo. His name is Jules Welty. And on his show, which is called African Variety Show, once a month, he interviews people and then he translates what they say into French, Swahili, and another language. So whatever you say, he then translates it into 3 languages. So as you can imagine, you don't get much of a conversation going. There were 2 of us on this with him, and the subject is the Pan-African Congress that is going to take place next October, and trying to get people to be aware of this really unique effort. It is the 9th Congress on Pan-Africanism that has happened, but the point is it's an opportunity for African nations to come together and to build on their own strengths and stop relying on the the major forces that are coming there and militarizing them and setting them apart. So that was interesting, and the webinar may be made available soon, and I'll send it around when it comes out, and we hope there will be a few other meetings as well.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so now we're on to 5A8, VIII, work with other issue committees and working groups, and the first is Earth Democracy and Nancy Price.
Hello, everybody. So we're beginning to work on our new text for the website, so stay tuned. And put on your reading glasses and look for new content, because in fact, we've had our PFAS materials up there for way too long, although that's of course an important topic, but we need to get some of the other topics that we plan to be working on up there. So just want you to know that Jean Hayes of Fresno WILF is going to be my co-conspirator. Thank you.
Okay, good. Odile for MEPJAC.
I actually missed the last meeting because I was working that day, so I can't tell you anything.
Okay.
Just
So-
read, they send us a lot of emails, right? They're very good at sending us about the Israel-Gaza war and what they want us to be doing. So just keep an eye on your e-alerts and things coming to branches and what have you.
Yeah.
Who sends
lots.
it? Who sends it?
MEPJAC, Middle East Peace and Action Committee.
Okay.
It's Jan Kordeman. She's the only chair right now. She's asking for another chair, but Tura Campanella Cook resigned.
Oh,
So Jan Kordeman is the only chair left.
okay.
We're 5 minutes over time for this.
Oh, well, we're on to the next one. Did board approve the $1,000? Yes, they did yesterday. Nuclear weapons free zone in Middle East. Odile, did you want to say anything?
No.
Can I just come back to this issue of the
Sure.
NATO summit? Okay. There is I didn't put it in the agenda, but there is a website that talks about these actions that will happen July the 6th and 7th in DC, okay? And we need to start advertising that. They would like us to be there for these meetings and demonstrations against NATO. And Diane has offered her a place in her house to sleep. If you would wanted to go and attend this meeting. So we have a no to NATO people. We have a lot of interest in this. And now we have $1,000 that we are now going to give to the coalition, right? World Beyond War leads this coalition. And because we've given them $1,000, we are considered a big sponsor. And it's a way of advertising ourselves, right, Diane?
Yes.
And how and when will this money transfer?
Oh, I suppose Chris will write a check
To World Beyond War?
to David Swanson. Yeah, he's collecting the money.
Right. So being against NATO is a big deal. And the point is they're
Yes.
coming to DC, that all the NATO people are coming to DC to celebrate their 75th anniversary. And we want to be there saying, no, it's not such a good idea after all. Okay, fine. So I'm so pleased to hear that the board agreed to give us $1,000 for that. Excellent.
Yes, very good. Okay, so the next one is disarm contribution to the WILF Congress. Eileen? Oh, I'm not doing
and
too well at
yourself.
the presentation. Oh my goodness. Okay.
So I did write to Eileen, Diane, and I are having a conversation about this. And I did finally, so Eileen, I don't know where she is now, but we did identify this Peter Glick, who's an expert on conflict around water, okay? Thousands of years, people have been fighting each other about water.
I know Peter personally.
And apparently my husband over here says he actually knows Peter. So
Is that right? Oh, good.
so he's got this very excellent 15-minute explanation about these conflicts and why they've happened, and then ways of dealing with them and how to stop the conflicts in the future. So I agree that it's such a good video. He's so good at speaking. His graphics are really fine that I would be happy to use that 15-minute video as the beginning of a disarm presentation at the Domestic Congress. And then we would have more discussion about it. Now, I know he's a man. Would anybody really take umbrage that we are using a video with a man in it to explain this?
We're having other men speak at the Congress.
Good, because
Tim Wallace
could
is going to speak, and Chris Jones from Iowa about CAFOs and pollution of water. So we have some men.
Okay, fine. So if that's, because I could try to listen to his talk, I could steal his slides, and I could repeat.
No.
But we might as well use him.
Invite him. Yes.
Well, we would just show the video. We would need Diane to double check that he doesn't mind us using the video. It's in the public domain. It's on their website, right? So
it's Eileen. Sorry, I'm getting ready for bed. I'm drooping off here. Okay. I tried to contact them twice and I have not gotten a response. When it's on a domain, it seems like it's fine that they want us to take advantage and learn this stuff. Why would they not? Why, post it? And it clearly indicates where the information is coming from. Pacific Institute. We're not hiding anything, and they're getting some advertising when you think about it.
I agree. Yeah.
I think it's a courtesy.
Sounds good.
I'm going to ask my husband how he knows it.
Cheryl's husband could let him know that we're doing this.
He went to college. He went to college with Mr. Gleick.
Oh, okay.
40 years ago. So
sorry.
He lives in Berkeley. We will.
He's a MacArthur Foundation fellow.
He's a MacArthur Foundation fellow. So on so we'll. All right. I'm sure we can sort something out. Thank
you. Right. And Eileen's tried to contact him twice, she said. So it's been an effort already. Okay, we'll work that out. I think it's great to have that to help us with the presentation. Okay, so the next is problems with radioactive waste. Pam?
And Pam is finally here.
I'm here. I couldn't get in. I don't know what happened. So waiting and waiting. And finally, Ellen, I texted or I emailed Ellen. Anyway, I'm here. We have not been working. Did you talk about DC days yet? I would rather talk about that.
Okay.
Whatever
so
you
that
want to
will
talk
be
about.
included in our DC days report. And WILPF is a member. We pay our dues. So you can all come to DC days. It's going to be the 19th of May through the 22nd of May. And we're going to be, I'm going with Tri-Valley Cares, and we'll be trying to find a Airbnb or someplace that we can stay. And then there's a spring meeting after that. And since WILPF is a member, you are invited to the spring meeting the next day. It's all going to be at the United Methodist Center, which is right across from the Capitol. And it's so easy to get to all the different Senate and House of Representatives building. I encourage anybody who could come to please come. It's just, not only do we do a lot of lobbying, but we learn a lot too.
Remind us in particular, what does the ANA concentrate on?
Okay, so this year we'll be concentrating on the production of the plutonium pits. Were you at the webinar on Friday, Cheryl, with the physicist?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so a lot of that, that Frank von Hippel talked about it at the very end, a little bit about, because they were talking about the ICBMs and the cost of that going up, from 61 billion only.
96.
Yeah, and then now being 131 billion or something, like doubled in price. Anyway, so that's part of, we'll be talking about all the different aspects of it. And as far as nuclear waste, we'll be concentrating on the waste isolation project and the fact that it's way oversubscribed and how they are not going to be able to clean up the legacy waste and put it there if they're going to make all these new plutonium bomb cores and reproduce every bomb in the whole arsenal. And so anyway, and then we'll talk a little bit about the so-called small nuclear modular reactors, which are really not small because you have to have a cluster of them. And they use highly enriched uranium, which is much more toxic than the waste will be much more toxic. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about. If you can come, you'll get the more details about all of this.
And then you go round the Congress and visit people's offices, and like I did last week for other things, and then you tell the aides what it is you don't like and what you want their representative to do about it, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, I have been there, and that's what we do.
I've been there twice, and ANA, Alliance for I'm sorry, it's excellent. It's excellent. If anyone can get away and go to that, go. It's so well organized. You can speak to sometimes to your representative. Usually it's the aide to the representative, but they all are on alert and very, very receptive to what you have to say.
So it's the 19th to the 22nd of May.
Right. And the 23rd and 24th are the, 23rd and 24th are the annual meeting. And also, if you feel like you don't know the issues that well, don't worry. We pair people up with somebody who knows the issue, who can be a spokesperson. So even if you go along, you can learn something. It's really well worth it.
It sure is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, the next item is divestment. And Odile, are you going to speak on that? That's item 10.
Oh, Ellen actually went to a meeting.
Oh.
Ellen, what you just put, this call was recorded. What this call are you talking about?
What we're doing right now.
Oh, so you already, but we're still recording it, right? Yeah. But would you like to talk about the ICANN divest meeting that you went to and what we should be doing?
I didn't make it.
Oh, I thought you did. You went to one back in December, didn't you? Or you told us about it. You didn't go?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have had so many things going on in my life that this is not something that comes to the top of my mind at this moment.
But the point is
the mind is not as retentive as it used to be.
We're sending you multiple hugs and what do you call it? Co-sympathy.
The point is that the ICANN-W has this divestment group that is run by Susie Snyder that Odile and I learned more about when we were at the second meeting of the states parties. And she tries to encourage people to do things. And
I sent a whole sheet about it before. It's to divest the nuclear. It's to divest from your divestment fund, number 1. Number 2, from your city, so you can pass a resolution like Cambridge already did. And number 3 is to make companies divest from nuclear weapon, big company like TIA Kraft or big corporation or banks. So there is 3 parts of this. It's the personal one, what did I say? The personal one.
Institutional.
Divest your own fund, divest your city, and divest from companies that are investing. So you pressure them to divest. So that's the 3 prongs of the campaign that Susie is running. And she's doing a lot on the companies, and she's getting more company to divest. It would be good if we had a TIA Kraft within WILPF. Maybe many of us are invested in university. for our
Pensions.
retirement and for our pension, and maybe we could divest from or put pressure on them. They have some socially responsible fund, but we don't know exactly if they are all divested from nuclear or
Weapons.
not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we
So-
need to do our own investigation, and we haven't done it yet.
Jean's
I
waving a
think
hand.
that we, I would hope that we would invite her to our spring Congress if possible, because she does a specific training
Yeah.
on how to do it, not just what and how important it is, but how to. That's excellent, because
Not
I've
yet.
attended it.
Good idea. Good idea.
So, Nancy, have we got enough spaces for speakers at the Congress that we could invite? Susie lives in Holland, okay? So she would have to be zoomed in, or she could send a videotape. I mean, I saw that was very effective. She records herself and then sends you the link to the recording.
I
But-
went to a class. I went
I
to
did
a
too. I did too.
Mhm.
yeah. So
So
I
then-
attended it and I took notes and I sent the note to Disarm at that time. It was about 6 months ago, I think.
Mhm. So Nancy, have we got room for the issue is the theme of our thing is water, okay? So you've got to make a connection
It's
between
water and peace.
and peace, right? So
So it's about peace, but not about water.
Yes, no, it's water on the front lines of peace.
peace,
So
right. I mean, there is the argument that nuclear reactors produce radioactive water that goes into wherever they are cooling water becomes a bit radioactive.
But when she does her class on divesting from the bomb, it's not really about water. But it would
Right.
be good if
It
we
could
add
be,
it.
because there are water companies that people have to pay water all over the country.
Okay, but she could do it in a side room. We could have a video and run it, so people would learn about it.
Right.
okay, well, we're figuring out how to make all the puzzles fit together. And in not this coming Tuesday program committee meeting, but in the following one, I think we'll be getting closer and closer because we need to make some decisions here. But the other aspect, which is nuclear energy, which uses a huge amount of water to cool. So that's another connection that we should be aware of.
Right.
And Earth Democracy will be developing some materials about that. But sure, would you send me a note, maybe
I
Cheryl?
will.
Oh dear, we'll send you a
Send me
note.
a note so it's just on my radar.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will send it.
I would say this is worth a webinar, that Disarm has not had a webinar in a long time for all of WILF, and asking Susie to give us the basics and repeat some of the things she's already told Disarm for all of WILF US. I think that's one step, education.
How we do it.
Pardon?
How we do it, the words we say.
Yeah, so we've we can set up a webinar. We have to invite all of WILF. We tell them a date and time to turn up to hear this expert on divesting.
Yeah.
And some of us have heard from her and have, we've done this before. We did this through Philadelphia, had an effort to get their city council to divest their
I will call Susie and
investments.
I'll write to Nancy.
Right. So
this is excellent. Much better than trying to do it through the Congress. Thank you.
I think this deserves an hour. This is really deserving of an hour, which is a typical webinar length.
Yeah.
So my preference would be to just give Susie and the divestment topic its own webinar.
Yeah.
And we've been remiss in not having some webinars out of Disarm.
Yeah.
So
good idea.
that's I think maybe that's the way.
Why can't it be at the Congress?
Well,
Because
because you
there's
don't
too
get
much
an
else
hour.
going on there, Robin.
But
And
this
we
is
don't
a
get-
very important thing to be going
Yeah,
on.
but it's also slightly off
wait a minute.
topic.
I have my hand up and it's kind of like a free-for-all discussion.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I know, Pam, you have had your hand up for quite a while. So Pam, go ahead.
Well,
And people should say stack,
so
you
if
know.
you've ever tried to look at the Divest from the Bomb campaign, it has a long list of all these companies, and you have to figure out, it's in alphabetical order, and you have to figure out which one, wherever you're trying to get the people to divest, has that money. Where does WILP have its money invested? We might have it in a bank like US Bank that invests in nuclear weapons and in fossil fuels. So we have to, maybe we can do a little homework and turn it into an action item for WILP.
And she specializes in the banks.
Great.
But also investment companies.
Investment companies, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
with.
So, well, the treasurer, Pam, would you like to write to our WILF treasurer?
Sure.
Barbara Nielsen, and ask her?
Oh, okay.
Where,
if she's interested, if we, you know, that if she could come to that webinar and learn how to,
or
find
if she
out
knows
about-
where our endowment is actually invested.
Okay, yeah.
Which mutual funds, is it in mutual funds or is it in US Treasury bonds, or where is, I mean, we have some money, I believe, although we often run at a deficit. Does anybody remember?
Well, some people
I saw something recently that talked about the money that's the funds that we can't use except above a certain level, and it's like $50,000, and the other one is also like 20,000 or something or other. So those things at least, and there's a company or a nonprofit that handles money for us also. So yeah, Barbara Nielsen is the place to ask. Yep.
Yes, yes, she is. And before I go to bed, which will be in about 4 minutes, I just want to say we're invested in good stuff. Don't worry about it. If you're worried about
want to know
Good
how
point.
to.
Good point.
Eileen is saying she thinks this has already been taken into account by
I don't think we can assume that.
well, Eileen thinks we can.
No, we've looked at it on several occasions. I've been on the finance committee with Jan Quarterman, and now Barbara has it. Barbara's hard to catch, by the way, so you may have to try to contact her twice. I'm pretty sure that our slate is clean.
Yeah, good point.
Also,
when you
people who have died have left funds that go into a fund.
Well, the other thing is that many WILF members are part of a retirement system or all sorts of other things where WILF is not watching out over where the investments are. So
that's true. There are university endowments. There are all sorts of places.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good night.
So
Okay.
that's Eileen.
Good night, Eileen.
Thank you,
Sleep
Eileen.
well.
Yes,
So okay, so we're already done advocating for the end of the war to Ukraine. We dealt with that in section 4A.
Right.
So we're on to Treasurer report, Diane.
Yeah, if Ellen's up for it. If not, I don't think it's probably changed since 2 weeks ago.
Well, I hope I've sent money. I've sent money and said specifically it's to go to disarm. So I'm hoping to see a change.
I did too. I did too.
Well,
Okay, Ellen?
yeah, I have sent a message to Chris asking for an update, so hopefully I'll have heard back by the time we meet again. I'll remind her. She's only there a couple of days a week, so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'll ask her if she's gotten your
Donation.
what you donated. And
Right. I donate through the Peace Development Fund to make it tax deductible. And I know that takes a while to dribble through.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm hoping.
hopefully next meeting we'll have a report on that. And then the next meeting is going to be the 11th of February. And is there any other business?
So just to remind you all that we meet the second and the last Sundays of the month. And so even though we have a leap day this year, the last Sunday of the month is the 25th of February. So the 11th and the 25th of February will be the next two meetings, and it would be useful if you would write that in your diaries and save this time for this meeting, please. And I saw, Robin has a hand up.
Yeah, so I have a sort of an announcement of a fun thing we're doing in Burlington WILF with the Burlington Friends meeting. The university is offering a course on baking a Persian love cake. Okay, so a friend of mine and I, we're going to take the course, we're going to bake the cake, and then we're having an event on Valentine's Day to eat the cake, but with various other things happening, maybe Persian dancing, which I understand is sort of like Sufi dancing, and poetry and who knows what. And, I was inspired this morning in Quaker meeting to bring up that we were going to do this thing. And Persia, of course, as we all know, is Iran. And what is Iran doing these days but trying to refine its uranium so it will have a bomb sufficient to destroy Israel. Of course, Israel already has their bombs to destroy Iran, but it seems to me the tension is really growing over there with the Houthis and everything else happening. So I just tried to bring up the fact that the Persian people and the Iranian people are a complex and beautiful people, that we should know some of their customs and hope that love will prevail. So that's our thing in 2 weeks.
Nice.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
can,
I spent 5 years with Iranians, so I'm very fond of them. I'm crazy about them. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Have you?
so let me tell you about, I told you about the Iranian lady who won the Peace Prize last December,
Yes.
Narges Mohammadi.
Yes,
Now
and
she
they've
is
been
already in
wonderful
jail.
feminists in
she's-
trying to remove the veil.
And she's already, they've just added 5 more years to her very long sentence.
Terrible.
And so she is, the women in Iran are trying to work against things, but she's kind of been pinpointed as a point of contact to get even more. And the prison where she is a horrible place, apparently. And I did send you the link to
Evin, EVIN,
the peace.
the prison. It's
I sent the link to the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony where her 2 children, who haven't seen her in 8 years, who live in Paris, accepted the prize on her behalf, and they wrote beautifully crafted speeches that they made. I think they're 16 years old, and they haven't seen their mother in 8 years. And anyway, so she was a physicist in her earlier life, which is why the Physics Society gave her a prize, the Sakharov Prize. Anyway, and just also that what's happening to the women's education in Afghanistan is another thing we should be paying attention to, because essentially past the age of about 12, you just don't get any education. The moment you are marriageable, or maybe your period has started, you just don't get an education. So we're hoping, and I do believe that WILPF International is working on those kind of things. They're setting things up by Zoom, right? So they're trying to get through Zoom, they are having the girls get an education. Linda, I see your hand up.
Yes, just Robin, I was hoping that you, once you get the recipe, if you would share with us the recipe
my
for the
gosh,
Persian
okay.
love cake. And one of the reasons I ask is we are in our area here in Appalachia, we're going to be hosting the International Uranium Film Festival.
Wonderful.
And and I'm hoping that Appalachian Peace Education Center will have an international meal surrounding that, during the to open or close the film viewings, and it would be lovely to have a
Terrific.
Persian love cake as one of the offerings during the meal. So thank
And you
you.
put,
If it's not proprietary, we'd love to see it. Love to get it and
this
try it out.
uranium film,
Thank
the
you.
Uranium Film Festival. Linda, could you put a link to that in the chat? Is it something that you have to be there in person, or at least we can learn about it? Is there a website to do with it?
I'll
Yeah,
send
it's
you a
called
link to the website.
uraniumfilmfestival.org or com.
Yeah.
Yeah, just look it up. Just type.
Yes.
Okay,
It
and
is
is it
The International Uranium Film Festival was
internet.
started by yes, initially on the internet, but it does have a tour coming up in the United States, visiting various areas, and so it's going to be coming to Asheville
You know,
on March the 23rd,
March 23rd.
22nd, 23rd there in Washington, D.C., and through Abingdon, Virginia, possibly also East Tennessee, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to swing that also. But it gives the communities an opportunity to choose among the various films that are offered to the International Uranium Film Festival organizers to show. And it's and so it's a curated group of documentaries mostly, and that's and it's and they'll be all over the United States, out west, in the South, and then but I'll send you all a link to where you can see the map of where they are, and maybe in your neck of the woods there will be an opening in their schedule, and you might want to participate in this type of public education on nuclear issues. So thank you.
But is it a nuclear or is it Iranian? Because Iran has a very active film production. What you just mentioned, the Iranian question, uranium and Iranian got intermixed.
Yes, it's there may very well be an Iranian film, but I don't know. There are dozens of films that are in the among the offerings that a community can screen, and Ellen is going to come to my rescue here and
it's uranium
and show the map where yes, it's a International Uranium Film Festival, but in that it was international, that caused me to ask, also because I've been baking lately, causing me to ask Robin for the recipe. So that's
may I interject here that there was some talk on another call that I was on yesterday about wishing that they
Ellen, you want, go ahead.
While you're getting it together, Cheryl, how are you remembering your food? Great.
Hélène, you went silent.
I think Ellen has got a problem with talking to us through her internet.
Okay, but I think that's good. We learned about 2 film festivals. So I think we can just.
Can I say something really quickly?
Sure.
That one of my best friends lives on the Navajo reservation, and right now what they're fighting is they're mining uranium again. They're on the reservation, and I think in the Grand Canyon too. And they have open air uranium trucks hauling uranium all around the reservation with no covers on them and blowing this uranium dust all over the place, and people are getting really sick. So they're organizing right now in the chapter houses to try to stop it, but they've been
This has happened on
unable
many
to stop
tribal
it.
lands. This has happened on many tribal lands. The uranium mines have been just left with high piles of uranium, and it has been very destructive to the culture because it has got so many people sick, and they aren't able to continue their cultural traditions because of so much sickness.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. Don't know what to do. Okay, well, I guess in 2 weeks, we'll see you.
Okay,
We'll be
thank
back.
you. Stay
Please
well.
do
Thank
what you
you.
said, what you promised to do it, please. And Odile, we will send you the recording that'll help you with your notes.
Yes, she gave it to me already. I just put it on the document.
Right. Okay. And thank you, everybody. And keep in touch.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Okay, good night.
Save the chat.
Good night. Right.
Where is it? Save the chat. Hi, Robin.
Yeah,
Hello.
I'm sending the thing to Linda. And Diane, are you still on? Can I talk to you, Diane? I guess she's gone.
She's gone.
Yeah, anyway. Okay. Yeah.
Because I'm doing the minutes. I was trying to save everything.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay, that's why I stayed on.
Yeah. Okay,
Good,
well,
thank you. Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Hi, bye. Hey, Robin.
Yeah, yeah. Oops. Is that, oh, there, Ellen.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, yeah. And you, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling well.
Uh-huh.
You? How are you doing?
Pretty well, yeah, yeah, you
I
know.
hope you're staying indoors.
Yeah, in fact, I got this incredible indoor exercise thing called Cubii, Cubii, where you put your feet there and then you pull the levers that way. And I think it's good because, I mean, actually today it's above freezing, but with the cold, with the ice and so on, and me with a cane, it's
Yeah, you don't
not
want to
fun
risk
to
it.
go out.
Yeah. Well, Troy is here. Did you ever meet Troy?
No.
Oh. Well, then it's irrelevant to you whether Troy is here or not.
What? And Troy? Who's Troy?
Troy is my housemate, friend, colleague, brother.
Who lives in the basement?
Yeah. Let's see, where are you, Troy? There you are, Troy. Yeah,
Oops, he's
yeah, yeah,
disappearing.
yeah.
Uh-huh. So
So-
he sat through this whole thing?
He slept through it? No, he was,
No, sat. Or
huh?
did he listen to the whole
No, he
disarm
just
thing?
came up just a couple of minutes ago.
I like that design in the back. Is that sort of a Native American
It was
image?
done by Glenn Carroll from Nuclear Watch South,
Uh-huh.
and she's an artist. And so she put together the Thunderbird, which is a symbol of resurrection,
Mm-hmm.
with the symbol of radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really catchy image. And she made that. She made two of them and gave one to me. I was very honored. And
Mm-hmm. Nice.
yeah, it's beautiful. And then I've got that shiny thing behind my head. That's got a tigress and all sorts of animals in it.
Oh, I see that. The lion.
Yeah.
In the upper right. Yeah. Huh. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you.
Yeah. Good to meet Troy.
You take care.
Okay. Good. Bye-bye.
Bye.